All right. Welcome, friends, to the Connection Economy podcast. I'm your host, Mark, and this is the show where we sit down with actual humans who are leveraging LinkedIn to create real opportunities. Things like new clients, new deals, and new doors that they never saw coming. Today's guest is Grant Vermeer, and we're going to talk about how he got started, the moment that things actually clicked for him on LinkedIn, and what he's doing right now that's working. And before we end the show, he's going to leave you with two things that you can go do to level up your LinkedIn game this week. Grant, welcome to the show, my friend.
My guy, thank you. I'm stoked to be here. This is the first time that I've talked about. What's funny is when you sent this over to me, I was like, oh man, I know I've been doing all this stuff, but I've never actually really thought about it. And to be able to share this and express how LinkedIn has kind of changed my world and my business model and led to opportunities. I'm sure we'll talk about led to opportunities that I didn't even think it wasn't the intention of it. And yet these things still show up is wild to me, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm excited to talk all about this, man. I'm stoked.
Every conversation I have with people around that is like, I didn't expect that this is what I was going to get from it. And people are just like, LinkedIn, really? So that was why I want to share this. I was like, yeah, like there's a lot that you can get from this. Okay, so real quick, why don't you just do a quick intro? Tell us who you are and who are you showing up as on LinkedIn? Because you wear a lot of different hats.
Sure.
So
Yeah, again, my name's Grant. I'm a California kid. I wear shorts and rainbow flip-flops about as much as I possibly can, unless it's entirely too inappropriate to show up in that format. I went to the Naval Academy, played basketball, was a cyber operations major, ended up commissioning, doing 6 years in the Navy as a cryptologic warfare officer. So I kind of went straight from the cybersecurity pipeline to doing all things Navy cyber operations and signals intelligence. And then in kind of the natural transition and pipeline, I got out, threw it all away, and started selling real estate. And much to my mother's dismay, she's, what the freak are you doing? But again, for me, I just wanted almost the antithesis of the Navy submarine lifestyle for a little bit. I was like, I want real human connection. I want conversation. I want to have that entrepreneurial spirit and flair and have to figure it out. And so for me, that was super fun. And that's what I've really been doing since I got out of the military. And how I show up on LinkedIn is first and foremost, this is where I've landed, which is I'm a military spouse. The most important person in my life is my wife. In our life, our team trajectory, we've had discussions about it, is based on her career. It is her piloting and her being in the military and potentially her shifting over to the airlines at some point. But she loves what she does. And so for us, and for me, it was like, I'm a military spouse first, which means I'm going to have to build a career that can adjust, that can be flexible, that works around where her career takes us. And it's based on all of those factors, that I'm a Naval Academy graduate, that I'm a Navy veteran, that I'm an active duty military spouse, that I have all these things. Really what I want to do is just continue to contribute and give back to the Naval Academy community and the greater military community in what I do. And so that's how you see me show up on LinkedIn. I'm very pro-military, pro-Naval Academy, and everything that I do on the real estate side is hopefully with the intention of making sure that military families are being better represented in the real estate world. And that's where we're at.
I love that. Yeah, we've talked a lot about, as veterans, for both veterans showing up on LinkedIn, but then active duty service members, like how they can leverage LinkedIn. And our mutual friend, Andrea Howard, is going to be a guest here either in a couple weeks or a couple months, depending on if she wants to do the show before her daughter or
her
kid
daughter
arrives.
Yeah, I was going to say, that girl's in a PhD program at MIT.
She's doing a lot.
With a daughter on the way. So
she's doing a lot.
My schedule feels like nothing compared to that.
I know, right? I know. But I wanted to touch on one thing that you said there. So showing up as a mil spouse and then just living the military life. So that means a lot of change, a lot of moving, probably challenges for building, let's just call it just building a business, let alone a personal brand and an audience. Like, how do you navigate that and show it in your LinkedIn world, in your LinkedIn life?
Yeah, that's been the challenge, right? That's the entrepreneurial struggle that I'm going through right now, because real estate is a very traditional business. Real estate is like, oh, I am the expert of San Diego. I know San Diego like the back of my hand, right? Like, I know everybody here. I know everybody in the community. I know this all. I've been here for 30 years. This is my territory. This is my town. I don't get that, right? Like, that's not part of our world. We are going to be moving consistently and constantly. And so every time that you actually do the legwork to build a business in a certain area, you would have to move and start over again. And so for me, that's where I've really hopefully tried to change the business model and create more of a hybrid model, more of a consulting model, and seeing trends that I've seen in multiple markets across the country. It's not just the San Diego market, but I've sold real estate in San Diego. I've sold real estate up in LA County. I've sold it in Monterey. I've sold it in the San Francisco Bay Area. I've sold it out in Austin, Texas. And then I've also helped people across the nation. And I've seen common trends. I've seen interactions with multiple real estate professionals across the nations, across multiple markets and sellers markets and buyers markets in different things that are happening. And so trying to aggregate that total experience, aggregate that knowledge, and be helpful across the board is how I've chosen to show up, right? Is again, I sell real estate in San Diego. If you're moving to San Diego, I'd love to help you there, but I don't want my business to stop there. I don't want my ability to contribute back to our community to stop there. And so really what I've done is brand myself in post about being the main point of contact for all things real estate for Naval Academy families across the country. No matter where you're moving, no matter where you're going, I'll be your consultant. I'll help you find the right team. I'll be there for any second opinions. And that's what I continue to try and just reiterate over and over again. And this is one thing that like consistency is key. You just have to tell your story over again and over again, because that's how people know what you do. Like closed mouths don't get fed. You don't have the ability to just have everyone know what you do unless you tell them what you do. So for me, again, that's how I see LinkedIn as an opportunity to really establish and nail down like my reputation, like what I do on a consistent basis, just over and over again. I help military families buy and sell homes over and over again, nationwide. Buy and sell homes. Here's an example in Annapolis. Here's an example in Philadelphia. Here's an example in Pensacola. Here's an example in San Diego. But what I do is I help Naval Academy families buy and sell homes nationwide. That's the goal, and that's how I've done it.
I talked with somebody the other day about the 100-person challenge. If you walked up to 100 people and asked them, hey, what does Grant do? I think you do this really well. There are some people who are kind of all over the place, and I'm probably one of them. Where, oh, what does Mark do? Who does Mark help? You would get, if you get too many different answers, then you know that you're not focused enough. And I think that you've done a really good job of being like, no, I'm here and this is what I do. When did LinkedIn change for you as a resource, as an avenue for some of this? Like when it moved away from being like a resume or directory job site?
It's probably been about 2 years, 2.5 years that I've been posting consistently on LinkedIn. And really everything changed for me about a year ago, which I think is just partially the consistency of showing up every day.
Absolutely.
And that's been my tailored takeaway. And I think for me, it was also finding, there are two things that I really felt like really separated me in a positive way on LinkedIn, which is you need to know exactly who you're speaking to, right? Like you need to find your exact niche consumer, your exact niche client that you want to speak to. And then you need to also post to let that person know what you do. And so for me, it was like, okay, I'm going to build my Navy audience. I'm going to build my Naval Academy audience. So I'm going to tell lots of stories of my Naval Academy experience. I'm going to do all this stuff, everything that I do with Academy Insider, which is my very small little nonprofit that supports the Naval Academy community. I'm going to leverage that and tell stories here on LinkedIn about how the Naval Academy help me in my world, help my development and growth as a young person and as a leader. I'm going to share these photos. I'm going to share these stories. I'm going to let people get to know me, the Navy veteran, the Naval Academy graduate, to hopefully build an audience of Naval Academy people. That was first thing is like, how am I going to build my Naval Academy audience? And then the second piece is, okay, once I have a Naval Academy audience, how do I let them know that I do something that is designed to support them? Right. And so then that's the second piece is like, how do I weave in the real estate side of things without being overtly salesy, without putting it down their throat like, oh yeah, you should buy a home, you should buy a home, you should buy a home. That's not the goal.
From me, you should use me to buy a home.
With me, right? And really my focus and my intent behind everything that I do is I just want people, again, I was like, my goal is never to convince someone to buy or sell a home. I am not here to tell you that you should buy or sell a home. My goal is that when you are considering buying or selling a home, when buying or selling a home becomes relevant to your world, I want you to be like, oh, Grant. That's the first thought that comes to your mind because you just see over and over again that Grant is a Naval Academy guy and Grant helps Naval Academy families buy and sell homes. Like, that is the goal, that I am just top of mind when that realization that is now relevant to your world comes up.
Yeah.
And so again, I'm not telling people they should. I'm not writing all these crazy posts about like why buying a home is the best thing that's ever going to happen to
Yeah.
them and build wealth. No,
Yeah.
I'm just
You
gonna,
shouldn't
I'm
rent,
just
you should
gonna,
buy. It's if you want to buy, and I can help.
and I can help. And
Yeah.
that's literally, that's it. Right. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
again, that's how I've landed in that spot. And again, I just like to think case examples and telling stories that resonate with people
Yeah.
is what has been the most beneficial part of the process.
I think that's a big thing that a lot of people miss is they're like, oh, I'll talk with somebody and be like, who's your target that you want to reach? Like everybody. I'm like, no,
No.
wrong. You need, if you're a financial advisor, are you targeting 35 to 50-year-old individuals, heads of households, retirees? Start there, right to that person. And as you get better writing that person, it will be more applicable to others, right? So I'm sure there's been some outside of specific the Naval Academy group that have reached out to you, but you're like, this is my lane. And I think that strengthens what you're trying to do. So you said a year ago it changed for you. Do you remember what the first big break or real opportunity that came through a LinkedIn post or DM?
Yeah. So I had I'd finally kind of gotten my first DM from somebody. And again, it was funny because it let me know that people are watching, right?
Yeah.
People are witnessing this, which is,
Yeah.
I had someone DM me. It was like a class of 87 grad.
Nice.
And he was like, I actually have a sister in Idaho who's thinking about selling her ranch, right? And going through
Yeah.
the South. And when she talked to me about it, and she doesn't know a real estate person out there, I
Yeah.
just thought about it and I thought you would be able to help, right? And I was like, okay, somehow this is working, right? This
Yeah.
is
Ranch
working.
in Idaho wasn't on your list of things that you thought
Never.
materialized from
Right.
LinkedIn.
Never thought it would materialize from LinkedIn. And what it showed me was that I had built enough of a relationship with this person just via my LinkedIn that I was like, okay, this person feels comfortable enough asking on behalf of their sister out in another state that I will be able to support them. And again, this is a person who had never liked a single post, never reached out via a DM previously, never, again,
Yeah.
they were just watching from the shadows. They
Yeah.
seen the stuff just show up over and over again. And then when it became relevant to his life, not even his life, to his sister's life, it led them to actually reach out, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, that was like the big one. And then what was so funny is no more than about a week later, I had a second DM came in that was like, hey, this feels crazy. I'm sending you this message. I feel like I already know you. So this
Oh,
was
that's
like a
so
line that I
good.
feel like I
Yeah.
already know you. I don't know
Yeah.
if we've met at a conference before. Spoiler, we had not met at a conference before. It was
Right.
just, they see my stuff so consistently on LinkedIn. And again, I like to think, and again, I don't use a ton of AI tools. I'm not generating a ton of stuff. I know that this is an important part of my marketing. So
Yeah.
I write as authentically, as genuinely, as personally as I can to make these
Yeah.
stories real, to just let people get to know me. And it leads to stuff like that. And so for
Yeah.
me, that was the biggest realization and takeaway was like, okay, I just need to be consistent here in telling this story, because what it showed me is that people are watching, people are listening, and it will lead people to action when it does become relevant to their life. I just need to be consistent.
Yeah.
Right. And that was like the biggest first thing for me.
I think the trust piece is huge, especially real estate it's a trust first business, right? That's first and foremost. But in terms of interactions, we buy from people that we like and we buy from people that we trust, right? Or just interact, like not just buy, but let's call it interact. And I remember telling somebody, they're like, because I'll post about a wide array of things, and they'll be like, that's not really relevant to what you're doing on LinkedIn or how you help people on LinkedIn or how you sell software to banks. No, but a post about a struggle I had with my kids or something creates maybe just a little bit of trust, just a little bit of trust, so that like when I do show up and call or email, they'll be like, oh, I know Mark. He posted about how bad his mental game is, how it affects business and golf. Okay, like I know this guy. Like you said, I feel like I know you, and that's such an important part of, and ties into what you said earlier, was like doing the work and telling the stories. This is humanizing you. Is why I said this is super important to show up as real humans. And you touched a little bit on the AI piece of, hey, just write the post as if you're talking to your buddy, right? Just have a conversation. I do want to talk a little bit of, LinkedIn tips and tricks. So I talk a lot about headlines, like someone's headline and how important it is, right? LinkedIn is a really interesting social network where when you post or when you comment, that first tagline of your headline shows up. And so it's super crucial to stand out. And you've already talked about yours. You call out helping service academies. You list your phone number, right? This is obviously intentional. Where did this come from? Because you've had a couple different headlines over the years. Like, how did you land with, you can't get any better than I help service academy families buy and sell homes, right? That full stop, that's what you do. But tell me about the rest of it and how you got there.
Yeah, I think that one's interesting. Again, I've went through multiple iterations as
Sure.
well in all this. And I just think in general, when it comes to this again, is I started to realize, and I'm sure we'll get into this more, but commenting on stuff is so important, right?
Yeah.
Like utilizing comments in LinkedIn is incredibly important. And I realized when I would comment, because I had it before and it was too lengthy and it didn't get to the point. What I love about my tagline now is that anytime I comment on something, and again, I'm commenting a lot on people who are related to my niche. I'm commenting on, again, people who have large followings in the military community. I'm commenting on Naval Academy graduate posts. I'm commenting on all this different stuff. So that way it'll show up. And if you comment something that's legitimate, healthy, normal, like actually coming from contribution, something helpful. And then my tagline says, I help service academy families. And then it just goes
in the comments.
dot.
Yeah.
Right. I help service academies and then it goes dot. And people are like, oh, interesting. I wonder, right? Let me click on that. Right. Let me click on that.
Yeah.
And then it takes you to my homepage. And again, my big banner behind is it literally just says, I help military families with real estate and my big old friends. And I want there to be no questions, right? And obviously I have the Naval Academy logo there for a quick identification of the service academy connection. And then I follow up again. I want calls to action constantly throughout everything that I have. I want calls to action. So it's again, text me with any real estate questions and I list my phone number, right? So my tagline is quite literally, I help service academy families buy and sell homes.
Yeah.
And then the next thing is text me with any real estate questions. Right now, if you're looking at it and you don't even need to scroll through anything, just text me right now if you have a real estate question. Here's my phone number. And then my last two pieces are, again, they're just continued connection pieces. Naval Academy class of 17. I want people to, again, know that I'm Naval Academy, have my class year. Maybe there's a connection. Maybe they have someone related to that.
Yeah.
And then the final piece is military spouse, right? I just want little things that will hopefully also additionally connect me with people, just with a shared experience, shared background, shared title. That, again, it's just that little piece of connection or trust, right? And that tagline, I think, has proved I have no tangible ROI. I have nothing. No one's ever sent me a DM and said, hey, saw your tagline, reaching out, right? Obviously, that hasn't happened, but I've just
It all fits in, though.
It all fits in. It's part of the narrative. Again, I can't show causation, but I can show correlation.
Yeah.
Which is since these changes, since this has been my default, I've had far more people literally reach out again via DM or literally texting that phone number and asking questions.
Damn,
right?
My phone's just blowing up. Yeah, I think it is all tied together, right? Your profile has to reflect what you do. The headline has to say who you help. It does. Then you have to create content that is helpful to the person that you're trying to target. And then it's all together, right? And then you're commenting, like when they see your comment or they see your post, they go look at your page. When they see you, they see time and time again that you help service academies buy and sell homes. It's a circle of value for them. So you talked on commenting. That's a super important part of showing up the right way on LinkedIn. What else? What types of content that you create lead to the best real world conversations or referrals for you?
Yeah. So again, I think in my piece, it's all part of the puzzle, right? It's all part of the puzzle, which is like one post may be it might not get the same level of traction or comments or people reaching out, but what it does is it establishes a part of the story. For lack of a better term, right? And for me, what I love about all that is like, I have three main things that I do is one, I'm going to have a post about the Navy or the Naval Academy, something related.
Beat Army.
I'll have one post about real estate because again, as we'll get more into this conversation, I think establishing yourself as an authority in a certain niche is also important. And then three, and this is the one that usually generates the most call out is case examples or studies or this idea of what I call working out loud. So again, for me, that's like it is I'll have some post about something that's going on in the Naval Academy, something that's going on in the Navy, something that's like Navy related, or here's a picture of me and at the Naval Academy. And again, I think a big thing for me is I don't try and one thing that I've maybe seen and I even feel is a little bit like much as when people force a leadership lesson out of a post. Is like force like some kind of, And again, it's a feel thing because I think there are
Yeah.
great posts that do show like our good leadership reflections. And then I
Yeah.
think some that are just like, all right, dude, you're forcing it. Like,
Yeah.
we're forcing it here. And something Navy related where people just continue to get to know me, something like personal Navy. I'm writing like Thursdays are like I'll write a newsletter, which is going to be all about right now. It's all about like selling your home, how to list your
Mhm.
home, things that you should be doing, conversations you've been having with your listing agent, how you know if a listing team is actually good at their job, things that I hope will establish my authority as as a thinker in real estate. And then the third of the things that like go crazy are these case examples. And
Yeah.
quite literally, last week I posted a post. The image is just a home, beautiful home
Yeah.
of a home in Annapolis, the actual home, like
Oh,
from the
nice.
Zillow thing, right? From the
Yeah.
home that a Naval Academy family just closed on, just bought. And it literally, again, the tagline, again, or I guess the header, like the first line, the opening line, the hook is like, this Naval Academy family just closed on their home in Annapolis. Like, again, we're speaking directly to, who the audience is, like all this
Yeah.
different stuff. And then I go through it and just talk about it, right? Like,
Yeah.
I just share what happened because people see themselves in other stories. And so it was like, hey, they got this corporate relocation. They're going to be working out of DC, but they have a daughter at the Naval Academy. They want to be near Annapolis. We got them hooked up with an incredible team, and they just closed on this beautiful home, and they're going to make a ton of memories. Right. And then but I don't just stop there. That's not
Yeah.
just what I do. I'm also in contract on 5 other properties in 4 other states across the country. And then I listed out Air Force officer in Monterey, California, a retired Navy officer with 2 Naval Academy children,
Yeah.
also in California. We're in contract on a home in South Carolina with a submariner going out there, right? And I just list them all out because
Yeah.
it will relate with somebody who also fits in that archetype. And then I finish it off with, oh, and by the way, I actively sell in San Diego. And I showed homes to a class of 07 grad. I just had a Marine Corps aviator reach out who's moving here. And I have a third person here. Like, I want to help you. Like,
Yeah.
whether you're a service academy family, whether you're a grad yourself, whether you're moving to San Diego or moving anywhere, I will either represent you or I'll make sure that someone good is representing you.
Yeah.
And that post alone, 1 week ago, 4 people have reached out, 2 about
wild.
buying in San Diego,
Yeah.
and then 2 more moving, 1 to Annapolis that I already made an active referral on, and another one actually heading out to the Northeast. All right.
Yeah.
And that post, you may see that post as the only one that matters, but I believe
No,
it's the
it's all-
culmination of everything that makes that post actually cause people to reach out. Right. And
Yeah.
so it's the whole picture.
Okay, you dropped a lot of knowledge bombs there, so I want to unpack a few of those. First, I want, if you're listening to this or you're watching this, Grant's got just under 6,000 followers, which in the realm of followers on social media, it's not a lot. It's a fair amount, right? 6,000 is still a lot, but there are people with 30 and 50 and 100 and whatever. That's the middle tier of creators. It's still a good number. But to have that much impact and to lead to that much opportunity in business, what I want to say is that even somebody who's just starting out can make an impact. And it's about the type of content you're putting out, and it's content that's helpful rather than content that's just trying to go viral, right? That's not, it's good if it goes viral, but it needs to be helpful. It needs to reach somebody. Post or a comment that gets 2 or 3 outreaches or DMs is much better than one that gets 300,000 views that nobody reaches out on. So that's the important part. You touched on another part in terms of what works, stories, and then a part that I don't think works well, that people don't do well, but I will brag on you and I think you do well, is the leadership lessons. So the stories, your stories work really well because the family that's buying the home is the hero of the story, right? They're like, hey, this family wanted to be close. They got a home in Annapolis. They can be close to their family, can still commute into DC. They won. They're the winner, not Grant and the team that got them the house. They won. They're the hero of the story. And then maybe this is personal, but I think most people relate to this, leadership lessons that are born out of what didn't work or a failure. And the one where you were like, you posted that video about the conversation when Dominique called, don't get on the plane, never make a permanent decision based on temporary emotion. You're like, here's a lesson that I learned from going through this. It wasn't perfect. This wasn't a great scenario, but here's what I learned from it. Rather than I sold a home, here's what I learned about being awesome. Nobody wants that post. They want the family did great, or here's something that was tough and what I pulled out of it. Yeah. I think you do that really well.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to super quick. I'm so sorry before the question. Yeah. What I like about my 6,000 followers is that if you were to take a cross section of the people who actually follow me,
Yeah.
4,500 of them are probably legitimately somehow Service Academy affiliated.
Yeah.
I am speaking
That's
directly to my
yeah.
audience. Again, and all the people with 50,000, 100,000 followers,
Yeah.
it
Across.
looks
Yeah.
sexy. It
Yeah.
looks sexy, but like, how many people are the people that they actually want to talk to, or actually want to sell to, or actually
Yeah.
do these things, actually want to help, right? Again,
Yeah.
my thing is this idea, this virtue, right? Again,
Yeah.
I talk all the time about, and you see it in all my posts and all my stuff, about this idea of being a man for others, right? It's what drives me. It's what I want. And it's kind of built on this peg of coming from contribution, right? I want everything that I do to come from a place of contribution, come from a place of helping. And the community that I want to help is the Service Academy community, because it's a community that matters a ton to me. Like, why would I speak to anyone else, right? Like, why am I'm not
Yeah.
trying to garner the attention. I don't need this massive following for my own ego. I just want to have the eyes and ears and the attention of the people of the community that I actually want to help.
Yeah.
That's where I come back to every time. That's where I want to come back to, and every time. And yeah, anyway, sorry, I just wanted to
I think no, I think that's super important. Like I say, you don't need. You look at somebody who has 300,000 followers or whatever that the large number is, and you'd be like, oh, I'm never going to get there. And so maybe you will, maybe you won't. But if you're with your people, then like you're going to make an impact, and you don't need thousands or tens of thousands of connections for that. If you're in the right room, you can make an impact. But let's flip to the other side. Let's talk about like other real estate professionals or military adjacent kind of business owners on LinkedIn. What are some of the mistakes you're seeing them make that like you'd love to see them correct, or what's some guidance you can give in that space?
I think 95% of real estate agents are just wasting their time on LinkedIn.
Really?
And again, I think using LinkedIn is the best. I just think what they're posting, a lot of images on, oh, just closed, just did this, with no
Yeah.
extrapolation. Just the fact like, oh, look at me, I sold a home. Oh,
Yeah.
exciting, right?
The LinkedIn version of the mailer that you get, like just
It's a
sold.
LinkedIn version of the
Yeah.
mailer that shows up in
Yeah.
your
I
inbox,
just
like
threw
in
it
your
out.
mailbox, right? That's
Yeah.
exactly it.
Tell me a
And,
story about it.
it's an easy throwaway. It's an
Yeah.
easy scroll past. It's an easy all this stuff. And that's my biggest takeaway, is there's like all these different things. And again, and this is I have a lot of opinions, and I've been trying to
Love it.
coach and help people and all this different stuff too, is nobody really cares about the market report. They want you to know it,
Yeah.
but like, they don't need you to make a post to tell them about it. They just
Yeah.
want to know that you know it. Does
Yeah.
that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
there's a certain level of, we try and push this information on other people. I post it, oh, look how much I know. They don't care. They will care when they reach out to you. They want you to be competent and smart about your business, but that's not what we're pushing to the people, right? Like, that's like a baseline foundational knowledge that you're supposed to know. What's going to get people to stop, what's going to get people to actually read this, is how have you helped someone exactly like me? And if I see that you've solved someone's problem who has the same problem as me, then I'm gonna reach out. That's what I relate to. And so again, I think people are way too objective and not enough storytellers. They're not capturing this idea. They're not working out loud. They're not doing the things that people need to see that moves them to action.
Yeah.
And that's my biggest takeaway. I think that's what real estate professionals are doing poorly.
Yeah.
I think there are a couple of real estate professionals who are doing a very great job. So Lauren Dempsey out in Denver, she does a great job. And I think what I love about hers, and hers are a little bit different than mine, is that she does the very tactical, how I help solve the problem. I was just on an inspection 2 weeks ago, and this is how this is what the seller or the buyer found that prevented us from going into a bad situation, right? And here's what we walked through. This is what we saw. This is what we advised. This is how we saved this person from making a bad decision, right? And that's super helpful, right? If I'm looking at that, I'm like, okay, it's good to know that I have someone who's going to find that for me, right? It makes me feel better that I'm not going to just get pushed through a system. And so I think that stuff is kind of really positive. And I think if you're someone whose your business model is to sell in a specific area, like I am a traditional real estate professional, like I'm someone like Lauren, I sell in Denver and that's my business, it's a perfect model. Again, my model is different. I have a hybrid model. I'm helping people more. So I need to be more high level. I need to be more storytelling. I need to be how we've showing people how people have won across the nation, where hers is going to be like, I need to show you that I'm the most competent real estate professional in Denver and you should use me. right?
I know
And
what's
so I
going
think
on in the Denver neighborhoods. Yeah.
that's it.
I think that's a good point for realtors or even a lot of service-based businesses where it's like, look, I'm the resource for Detroit-based XYZ or Chicago-based or Dallas, everything like that. Okay. I love that. We'll hit the lightning round here. 2 things that someone can do this week to improve how they show up on LinkedIn. What are 2 either small or big things they can do?
Put a calendar block, hour and a half, to batch content. Start today and just
Yeah.
and think, right? Make a dedicated marketing block to build some LinkedIn content and think about it and tell stories and reflect and learn and work out loud and show how these things have happened. That's the first thing. Build a
Okay.
block, do it. The second thing is just start commenting. Again, and make sure your profile reflects appropriately so people know exactly what it is. 15 minutes, comment on 6
Yeah.
or 7 different posts and people who are a part of your niche. And not necessarily, again, so this is a good example in the real estate world. Because I'm in real estate, that doesn't mean I comment on real estate posts.
Yeah.
What? Because I don't need other real estate professionals reading my stuff. I need
Yeah.
military families reading
Yeah.
my comments.
So you're
my
posting
posts are
on
going to be on military
Yeah.
posts, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like comment on the niche of the audience that you want
Yeah,
to
where your
see.
people are.
That's
I
it.
love that. That's good. Okay, so create an hour or 90-minute block to just create some content, work out loud, share some stories, and start commenting where your people are, not necessarily
That's it.
like where you think you need to be.
Correct.
Okay, let's think, what are 2 people in your network that you think have a great LinkedIn story that we should have on the show?
Ooh, I think JD Modric,
I know
who's
it's
a
class of
lender.
'07.
Yeah. Oh, he's great. And
Yeah.
I think he does LinkedIn incredibly well.
Okay.
And I think from the lender perspective, so much because it's a little bit different than the real estate side. The lender side, it's very numbers focused. It's making sure you get the best deal. It's making sure that we're leveraging everything we can to benefit the individual. And he tells such incredible stories and he's really smart. He's able
Yeah.
to demonstrate his intelligence. And again, I want a lender. I don't need a charismatic lender. I need a lender who
Yeah.
is really good on the number side and on the loan, right?
Yeah.
And so I think he does a phenomenal job on how he does his LinkedIn.
Okay.
Because again, my story is different. Mine is I'm a charismatic guy who will make sure that I connect you to the people who are smart and who are really good at their job, right? That's kind of my world. I think he does LinkedIn in an additional, incredibly, really positive way.
So we got JD Modrak, so I'll reach out to JD. Who else should we have on the show?
And the second guy is a guy by the name of Kyle Packard. He's incredible. Again, we talk about taglines right here. Very simple. High earning veterans hire me to make their lives easier. And he's a financial advisor, and he's kind of built his business around especially helping military retirees who now have a second career in the financial advising space.
Yeah.
Right. And again, like every post it's an incredible case example, right? Again, one right here. Lisa retired as an 05 in March. By June, she was a GS-14 making $135,000. And then he goes next line. Her pension, $58,000 a year. VA disability, $30K tax-free. New salary, $135,000. And uniform taxes were simple. BH and BAS were tax-free. Combat zone exclusions. Her taxable income was lower than her total compensation, and it felt manageable. Then her first April hit as a civilian. And it goes through and it tells this story of this tax shock and all these different things and all this different money. And again, his posts consistently are about this person just retired. Here's their new money. Here's these things. Here's what they're not considering. They had a financial advisor who was advising them to put a ton of money in bonds. And they're not considering the fact that your pension and your VA disability are basically the equivalent of bonds. They're generating this money. We need to reallocate and relook at your wealth strategy, right? And he does it so freaking well and so consistently. If you're someone who's self-employed, like trying to tell these case examples, and it was what you were talking about of like how it's not about him winning, it's about how the client wins, right? It's about how hey, this person, it changed their life around in a very positive way by rethinking this, right? And so it's less about, oh, I'm so smart, I'm so amazing, and rather this person's life is now going to be, financial picture is going to be significantly better, and that's a win for them, right? And next level good. Got it.
We're going to interview him and we'll mine some of that gold. Great stuff, dude. You dropped some great knowledge bombs and a ton of helpful stuff. I can't thank you enough for agreeing to join me on the show. Grant Vermeer, I help Service Academy families buy and sell homes. Thank you so much, dude. Appreciate it.
Let me sell your home, please. Lenny.
Love it.
My God, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes,
It was a
sir.
pleasure being here.
Yeah.
You're the man. I like genuinely big fan. I'm so glad that we've
Dude.
been able to build a friendship through this, and
Yes.
love it. Thank you for this opportunity.
Appreciate it. All right, so I'm gonna let this run just a little bit longer, and I'll cut the recording, and then I will get to work editing it out, and I'll shoot you over some links and stuff. We'll see how it goes.
Sick nasty, dude. Appreciate you.
All right, brother. Be well.
You too. That was fun.
See ya. Yeah, we should do it again.
Whenever you want.
Sounds good. Thanks, Grant.
Bye.
All right, let's see.